This is the ban list that will fix Yu-Gi-Oh! About a month ago, I made a video talking about what needs to happen on the ban list, but fortunately, we did get a whole new set in Infinite Forbidden, and now we were able to make some adjustments. Today, I'm going to be talking about the cards that need to happen for an amazing Yu-Gi-Oh! Format. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with ya, big dog? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that's your day. Phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. As you guys should already know, it's Update Monday, a particular time where we talk about something that can not only help you get better as a person, but also get better as a player so you can stay too strong. Today, big dogs, we are going to be talking about something that's really important. If you guys didn't know, I am going through a lot right now, but the biggest thing that I want to talk to you about for Update Monday is smile. Life is incredibly too short to be worried about the things that have been affecting you right now. Always look on the bright side of things. There can always be light at the end of the tunnel, and when you're faced with a problem, well, it just means it's an opportunity to grow and get stronger. A lot of the times where I feel like I'm in an incredibly tough situation, I just have to remember my humble beginnings and where I came from, and remember that it could be a lot worse. I'm appreciative that I'm in this current position, and I think that there's always something that we can be appreciative of too. Always looking on the bright side of things is just like what me and chat are going to be doing. We are going to be making the best forbidden list that you could ever imagine. Oftentimes, Konami makes a ban list that doesn't fix the Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, and this particular ban list is going to be made by the people in yours truly at an actual attempt to be able to fix this dog card game that we're in. So I think one of the biggest problems with Yu-Gi-Oh! Is it's too fast and there's too many moving pieces going on right now. In current Yu-Gi-Oh! Just one card can make a full combo, which is not necessarily bad, but the type of power that these one card combos have is incredibly frustrating to deal with. Ain't nobody got time to be sitting down and dealing with a person playing with themselves for 10 minutes. There's the hub for that. No Diddy. No, all Diddy. Current Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not new player friendly. It tends to turn new players away. So I think this ban list is going to be focused on making games fun and interactive, and we have to start off with banning some cards that probably have no business being banned, but doesn't go against our fun and interactive thing. I think banned, we're going to start off by banning Albion the Sanctifier Dragon and Hot Red Dragon Archfiend King Calamity. These two cards really don't need an introduction here. They are some of the most toxic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Unfortunately, if we go the Master Duel way and we start to ban the targets for Albion, then they'll just make new targets. I always thought that giving an opponent a monster was never a great idea, and Albion explores that giving your opponent a bad monster to the max. King Calamity isn't really even a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Card, but it goes against our ethos when it comes to making this ban list. We actually want players to have fun playing the game and not witness our opponent using a card that prevents us from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I think what Konami ignores on the ban list is casual play, because most players still use the most recent forbidden list. And there's a lot of times where Yu-Gi-Oh! Can be incredibly frustrating on a casual level, where a particular deck can do a thing almost unhindered unless you're playing a high tier deck or you're playing some really expensive cards, and this helps solve that particular situation. Now, for the competitive side of things, we're still gonna ban a couple of more cards. Ban Red Dragon? Bro, space. Is this because I'm Black Atlas? Beatrice. We actually did talk about Beatrice getting banned in my last video, and I'm still holding 10 toes to that. Beatrice has become a disgustingly powerful Yu-Gi-Oh! Card that isn't even being used for its intended purpose. Being able to send cards like Angel of Blue Tears to search Dimensional Barrier or Different Dimension Ground has been something that has been used in competitive play. And I'm not saying cards like Dimensional Barrier and Different Dimension Ground are cards that could not be addressed, but being able to have access to these cards, searchable access to these cards, is incredibly problematic. But now there's another card I think that should be added to the ban list as well. I think Nightmare Griffin is another one of those cards. Now, in theory, if I'm banning Beatrice of the Eternal Lady, there's no need to ban Nightmare Griffin, and I would like to hold true for that. But as you know, Konami be Konami. There will probably just be another card to come out to be able to send floodgates like Rivalry of the Warlords and Anti-Spell Fragrance, and as long as that exists, Nightmare Griffin can actually reset it back to the side of the field, creating situations where cards on the limited list aren't necessarily being limited. They're just incredibly hard to counter because you can't prepare for them and players can pretty much search them. Hit them Fiendsmith cards in some way to cut down their setup. I actually don't think that Fiendsmith is the problem right now. And I'm not saying this is because I don't think it'll get hit. It's almost a 0% chance it'll get hit. I think that the Fiendsmith cards are decent balancing. Could have been balanced a little bit better, but it's the cards around them that make them ridiculously busted. Time for IP and Oppo to be banned. My boy! In theory, Baron and Borreload got printed in Rarity Collection 1 and they got banned. So Oppo and IP are going to get banned too, right? I think in order to make the ban list as healthy as possible, IP Masquerena may just have to hit the ban list. I think the big problem with IP Masquerena is being able to link summon into monsters like SP Little Knight, a card that allows you to be able to get rid of a card for free, bypasses his restrictions of the battle phase, and can then get rid of another card. And also the protections that it puts on that card makes it almost immune to counters. Now with Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, I'm actually still on the fence with that, but I'm going to leave it off of the ban list. Ban Flamebeard, Oppo, Proto, Shifter, and D-Barrier? Yo! I think that Dimension Shifter gets really bad when decks centralize against the graveyard, but if there's more deck diversity with strategies that don't centralize the graveyard, it's a fine card. Take for example, if we have 100 players and 33% play Ritual Beast and the other 33% play 10-Pod, would you actually main Dimension Shifter for that last 33%? The answer would simply be no. Now for Archnemesis Protos, yeah, I ain't got no comment for that. If that's the case, Konami might as well bring back everything at once since they're going so crazy. There's this amazing thing, Shiro. It's called a traditional format. That's where everything's at one. I think the same problem in Yu-Gi-Oh! With Protos is the exact same as Dimension Shifter. Once we get more attribute decks that spread out across the board, this card can't be as effective. But I ain't gonna lie, they on my list, both of them. They on my watch list for sure if they still dominate. I would be a little shocked, but if they banned Shavara for Yubel, it would be so less consistent. Now, Yubel is incredibly powerful, but I don't think Yubel is worth touching at this second directly. And my reason behind it is because it's an incredibly new deck to the competitive meta scene. You gotta see how things play out when Snake Eyes isn't being Big Daddy anymore. It's also another reason why I decided not to hit Protos and Dimension Shifter. In order to be able to combat some evils, sometimes you gotta have some evils. But let's move on to limited. What are some cards that you guys think need to be limited? I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. Poplar to 1, Super Poly to 1. Who did it to y'all? You guys are going crazy. I think Super Poly does fit in that category of a necessary evil, guys. Yes, it does suck getting Super Poly'd, but if Super Poly's in the format, you have to build a board that is super polyable. If you play around it, then you're less susceptible to get Super Poly. Hit Snake Eyes Ash? That I will. Over time, I realized that Snake Eyes is a problem, but the reason why Snake Eyes is a problem is because it's hyper consistent and it has amazing recovery, which is why I think the limitation of Snake Eyes Ash is perfect. Hitting Snake Eyes Ash does multiple things. It forces Snake Eyes to find a new 1-card full combo that does everything for it. It makes the deck less consistent, and it makes hitting Snake Eyes Ash actually viable. Guys, I genuinely sat down and tried to figure out some other cards to hit for Snake Eyes, and I could not find another hit. Genuinely, hitting Diabell Star or Wanteds, I don't think that that's really that good. Banning the field spell actually might have been a wave, but I'm not sure if that's the wave. There were so many things about Snake Eyes that seem balanced. It just seems to be the monsters that they can make be the problem. Hypothetically, if Snake Eyes consistently locked itself into fire, it wouldn't even be a strong deck. And to be honest, I know it's not a popular opinion, but those hits might just be enough to slow down Snake Eyes, legitimately. Also, I have not forgotten about the Gimmick Puppet FTK. I don't think that it's a really good deck, but I do acknowledge that it is unfair to play against. And that's why I think we should hit Gimmick Puppet Strings and number C40 Gimmick Puppet Dark Strings. Limiting both of those cards to 1 makes it incredibly hard to FTK. I mean, dare I say it makes it impossible for the deck to FTK, but having your whole strategy based around an FTK was never a good move anyways. Now, I do see you guys saying I should do something to Tenpai Dragon, and I think on the semi-limited, we do hit summoning the Tenpai Dragon field spell. I think with Genroku now, the deck becomes a little bit more consistent, and you want to take away its ability to allow it to be unaffected by card effects throughout the duration of the turn. I didn't want to hit the card to 1 because it seemed like it'd make the deck too fragile, but I also wanted to respect that the deck is a little bit too powerful. I also think that the take cards have been doing really well, so a semi-limit to Snatch Steal is a really good idea. This is a card that not a lot of people are playing, but does have benefits over Change of Heart and Mind Control. Oftentimes when cards negate effects, they would leave the card on the field if it were a continuous or equip. Snatch Steal would be negated for that turn, but then during the end of the turn would take the monster. It's incredibly good against cards like Expertly Noir's effect, which is unaffected by activated effects, and can be an out to Fiendsmith Deseret. Just recently, Master Duel Unlimited Snatch Steal, and I think that it's a good idea to start exploring that card. Mind Control and Change Our Heart are at 1 and 3 respectively. How about we limit Spirit of the Gates or Dark Beckoning Beast? I could see a semi-limit to Spirit of the Gates or Dark Beckoning Beast, probably even both. I don't think that that would actually be problematic. It would slow down Yugioh just enough for other decks to be able to keep up. This entire list is built on slowing down the game, not killing any decks, and that actually might be the thing. I think you're really smart for that one. Nah, the new Yugioh Fusion is the problem. Nah, it's not. You got to think about it, Jake. When we decided to bring off the mind control cards like Snatch Steal, we already secretly addressed Yugioh. Callie, with Master Duel just limiting this card, do you see Heavy Storm coming back? Sure. I think Heavy Storm being limited to 1 would be okay for Yugioh. The reason why I was initially banned and kept on the ban list as opposed to Harpy's Featherstorm is because the thought that you can destroy your own cards. I don't think that that is as plausible in current Yugioh. Like, don't get me wrong, it's good, kind of, but it's not ban-worthy. Now, lastly, for Unlimited, the part that you guys love the best. I think this part of the Forbidden List matters the least, but there could be some really cool cards coming off. Right now, I have Miscellaneous Ceres coming off of the ban list. If Tenbai Dragon can have a field spell and Gimmick Puppet can have a field spell that protects you through an entire duration and is a lot more searchable, then I think it would be fair for Dinomorphia and Dinos to have a Miscellaneous Ceres. Dino Wrestler Pankratops can also come off the ban list. This card is really good as a board breaker going into so many things right now. It's just a solid Yu-Gi-Oh card. I think Chaos Space can come to 3. It's going to be really good for dragon-based Yu-Gi-Oh decks, or chaos-based Yu-Gi-Oh decks, if you will. I think that Kieran can come to 3. This Magispector card had no business being on the ban list for this long. The Dragon Rulers could arguably come to 3, every single one, and I don't think anybody would blink an eye. Circular to 3? No. You stay banned, my boy. Bring back Mystic Mind. Tamias, go home. And lastly, I gotta say it because everybody wants it off the list. Free Electromite. At least a 1, right? Oh, and free the homie Masterpiece, please. This card literally has done nothing to no one. Masterpiece can come off the list. It won't even be a problem. I promise, guys. I promise. And I'm not coping. Another card for Unlimited, if Flamebeard can be off the list, then why isn't Block Dragon off the list? He's 100% right, chat. If I could make a generic card, I would make a card that says discard 2 cards. I think generic cards have not been healthy.